Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Catarina Albuquerque, the CEO of Sanitation and Water for All, UNICEF-hosted global partnership. I am member of the Compliance Committee under the Protocol on Water and Health, and I was also the first UN Special Rapporteur on the human rights to water and sanitation. It's a pleasure to speak to you today. The global COVID-19 pandemic and its unprecedented impact on people, countries, and the global economy is a stark reminder of the importance of investing in and maintaining robust national systems for the provision of water, sanitation, and hygiene for all. When we were hit by the pandemic, it became more evident than ever that wash are one of the first line of defenses against the virus, and that until there is a cure, the best way to protect ourselves against it is simply by frequent hand washing, proper hand hygiene, in addition to physical distancing. And obviously, we all know this requires a continuous supply of sanitation and water for everyone in all settings, including in schools, but also healthcare facilities, communities, homes for the elderly, etc. But as simple as this might sound, as you know by now, there are 3 billion people in the world without basic hand washing facilities at home. And even in the pan-European region, there are still 16 million people without access to basic drinking water and more than 31 million without access to basic sanitation. And what we need is more countries that prioritize water, sanitation, and hygiene. And I'm constantly surprised that this is not a biggest priority, in spite of all the information and the evidence that investments in water, sanitation, and hygiene are good ones and repay themselves many times over, and have they would have saved lives in the context of this pandemic, but already before the pandemic. We know that human rights mandate governments to promote the realization of these rights within the maximum of available resources. Available resources meaning financial resources, but also other resources, human resources, technological resources that exist inside the country, but also outside the country. So again, cooperation and development aid come into play when we talk about the realization of these rights. So basically what I want to say is that COVID did not create new problems. It's a problem that existed already before. It just shed light, and it has dramatically demonstrated the failures that the world already had, in particular the inequalities in access to water, sanitation, and hygiene. And as the UN Secretary General has said, we are as vulnerable as the most vulnerable member of our community. Hence, this puts the importance of eliminating inequalities, if not for selfish reasons, at the forefront. So there have been, as you know, many important measures being taken in the context of COVID, including prioritization of access to vulnerable populations, for example, extension and continuity of services to everyone, stopping the cutoffs of water of people who cannot afford, and all of these measures that, in my opinion, should already have been in place before, because what human rights tell us is that nobody should be disconnected if, for reasons beyond their control, people cannot afford to pay. But still, these measures must be put in place in a coherent and comprehensive manner in order to make sure that utilities have the resources to continue to function, that utilities are sustainable in the long run, that they can pay salaries, that they can pay disinfectants, that they can pay tests and treatments for the water. And this is something that governments have to think seriously about in the short, medium, and long run, especially especially if the pandemic is here to stay, that's A, and B, if there is an economic crisis in the horizon, which will put a greater number of people, as we are already seeing, in poverty, and hence not being able to afford water and sanitation. So the protocol on water and health provides us with a framework, a robust framework, to support governments in meeting their commitments to deal with the current crisis, and to put in place the necessary measures to preempt and manage any future crisis. It brings together environment, but health and also health sectors, and without us being able to say that it is a human rights instrument, the fact is that it has several provisions that aim at the progressive elimination of inequalities, which, as we all know, is a fundamental human rights principle. So the protocol provides guidance, it provides tools for countries to prepare, to respond to and recover from COVID. And I would say, in a nutshell, it offers a regional coordination platform to exchange experiences, build partnerships. Number two, a system for improving governance and accountability. And number three, practical tools and methodologies, as well as access to an expert community in order to build capacity on WASH. So I would therefore like to invite you to attend the information session to introduce the intergovernmental platform provided by the protocol and its activities and tools, happening on Friday the 6th. Thank you so much for your attention. Ahora sí.